The rain hammered against the windows of our small apartment in Seattle, mirroring the storm brewing inside me. My name is Michael, and at 39 I thought I had it all figured out. A steady job as a software engineer, a loving wife Emily who was 37, and a cozy life filled with Friday night movies and Sunday morning pancakes. We'd been married for 12 years, a lifetime in my book, and I honestly believed we were soulmates. It started subtly, almost imperceptibly. Emily, a vibrant and outgoing kindergarten teacher, began spending more time at school. Extra hours for the spring play, she'd explain, her eyes darting away from mine just a fraction too quickly. I didn't think much of it at first. Emily was always dedicated to her students, pouring her heart and soul into their little lives. But then came the late-night phone calls, hushed whispers in the hallway, and a sudden disinterest in our usual routines. One evening I came home early from work, hoping to surprise Emily with her favorite takeout. The apartment was eerily silent. "Emily?" I called out, my voice echoing through the empty rooms. No response. I checked the bedroom, the kitchen, even the small balcony overlooking the city. She wasn't there. A knot of unease tightened in my stomach. I reached for my phone to call her, but then my eyes landed on her laptop, sitting open on the coffee table. I knew I shouldn't, but I couldn't help myself. My fingers hovered over the mouse, a silent battle raging within me. Trust was the foundation of our marriage, but the nagging feeling in my gut wouldn't let me ignore the red flags. With a deep breath, I clicked on the browser history. There it was, plain as day, a series of emails to someone named David. My heart pounded in my chest as I clicked on the first email. The words blurred before my eyes. "I can't stop thinking about you," Emily had written. "Meeting you at the conference was the best thing that's ever happened to me. I miss your touch, your kiss, everything about you." I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. The room started to spin, and I gripped the edge of the coffee table to steady myself. It couldn't be true. Emily, my Emily, wouldn't do this to me. I scrolled through the rest of the emails, each one a dagger twisting deeper into my heart. They were filled with longing, desire, and promises of a future together. David, it turned out, was a fellow teacher she'd met at a conference in Chicago a few months ago. He was apparently charming, witty, and everything I wasn't, or so Emily seemed to think. I stumbled back, knocking over a vase of flowers. The sound of shattering glass filled the apartment, a fitting soundtrack to the destruction of my world. Tears streamed down my face as I reread the emails, desperately searching for some explanation, some sign that this was all a terrible mistake. But there was nothing. Only the cold, hard truth staring back at me from the screen. Emily came home an hour later, her face flushed and her eyes bright. "Michael, you're home early," she said, a nervous laugh escaping her lips. I couldn't speak. I just stood there, frozen in place, the laptop still open on the coffee table. Her eyes followed mine and the color drained from her face. "Michael," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "Who is David?" I managed to choke out, the words raw and painful. She didn't answer. She couldn't. The truth was written all over her face. I can explain," she stammered, her eyes pleading with me. "There's nothing to explain," I said, my voice rising. "I read the emails, Emily. I know everything." Next few hours were a blur of shouting, tears, and accusations. Emily confessed everything, admitting that she'd been seeing David for months. She said she was unhappy, that I was too focused on my work, that she felt neglected. But none of it made sense. I had always tried to be a good husband, to provide for her, to make her happy. Where had I gone wrong? "I still love you, Michael," she sobbed, clinging to my arm. "Please give me another chance. I'll break it off with David, I promise." But the words rang hollow. The trust was gone, shattered into a million pieces. I couldn't forgive her. I couldn't forget what she'd done. "It's over, Emily," I said, my voice cold and hard. "I want you to leave," she begged, she pleaded, she cried, but I stood firm. I couldn't bear to look at her, to be in the same room with her. The woman I had loved, the woman I had trusted, had betrayed me in the worst possible way, and I couldn't forgive her for it. Emily packed her bags that night, her face etched with despair. As she walked out the door, she turned back to me one last time. "You'll regret this, Michael," she said, her voice filled with bitterness. "You'll see that I was right. You'll realize that you pushed me away. I didn't say anything." I just watched her go, the rain still pounding against the windows, the storm inside me raging on. The next few weeks were the hardest of my life. I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep, I couldn't even bring myself to go to work. I spent my days wandering around the apartment, haunted by memories of Emily, of our life together. Our friends tried to comfort me, but their words were empty platitudes. You're better off without her, they'd say. She wasn't good enough for you. But it didn't matter. I was still heartbroken, still angry, still lost. I couldn't understand why she had done this to me, why she had thrown away everything we had built together. One day, a few weeks after Emily left, I received a package in the mail. It was a small, unmarked envelope. Inside, I found a USB drive. Curiosity piqued, I plugged it into my computer. A series of photos appeared on the screen. Photos of Emily and David in various stages of undress, taken in our apartment, in our bed. Rage surged through me, hot and blinding. I wanted to scream, to break things, to lash out at someone, anyone. But instead I sat there, frozen in place, the images seared into my brain. The betrayal was even deeper than I had imagined. She hadn't just cheated on me, she had flaunted it, rubbed my face in it. That was the turning point. That was the moment I decided I wasn't going to let her get away with it. I wasn't going to let her destroy my life. I was going to fight back. I started by hiring a lawyer, a tough, no-nonsense woman named Sarah. I told her everything, showing her the emails, the photos, everything. We're going to make her pay, Michael, Sarah said, her eyes glinting with determination. We're going to take her for everything she's worth. That's exactly what we did. We filed for divorce, citing adultery and emotional distress. We subpoenaed David, forcing him to testify about his affair with Emily. We dug into her finances, uncovering a secret bank account she had been using to funnel money to David. The divorce proceedings were long and ugly, but in the end I won. I got the apartment, the car, and a significant portion of our savings. Emily was left with nothing, but it wasn't enough. I still felt empty, still hurt, still betrayed. I needed more. I needed revenge. I knew that Emily had always been ambitious, that her dream was to become a principal. So I decided to destroy her career. I anonymously sent copies of the photos and emails to the school board, along with a detailed letter outlining Emily's affair and her unethical behavior. The school board launched an investigation, and Emily was suspended. Her reputation was ruined, her career in tatters. She called me, begging me to stop, but I refused. You did this to yourself, Emily, I said, my voice cold and unforgiving. You destroyed our marriage, our life. Now you have to face the consequences. I know some people might say that I went too far, that I was being vindictive, but I don't care. Emily deserved everything she got. She had betrayed me, lied to me, and humiliated me. And I made sure she paid the price. It's been a year since the divorce. I'm still living in the same apartment, but it doesn't feel like home anymore. It's just a place where I sleep, where I eat, where I try to forget. I'm still working at the same job, but I'm not as passionate about it as I used to be. I'm still going through the motions, trying to rebuild my life. I've started dating again, but it's not the same. I can't trust anyone. I'm always waiting for the other shoe to drop, for the betrayal to come. Emily ruined me. She took away my innocence, my trust, my ability to love, and I don't know if I'll ever get it back. One evening, I was scrolling through social media when I stumbled upon Emily's profile. She had moved to another state and was working as a waitress. David had left her, apparently finding someone younger and more exciting. A small part of me felt a twinge of satisfaction, but it was quickly overshadowed by a wave of sadness. Emily had lost everything: her husband, her career, her reputation. And for what? A fleeting affair with a man who didn't even care about her. It was a tragic end to a story that had started so beautifully. I closed my laptop and stared out the window, the city lights twinkling in the distance. The rain had stopped and the sky was clear. But inside me, the storm still raged on. 2 years passed. I threw myself into my work, earning a promotion and a significant raise. I started seeing a therapist who helped me process my anger and grief. I even started to open myself up to the possibility of love again. It was slow, painful progress, but I was moving forward. Then one sunny afternoon, I received a call from an unknown number. Hesitantly, I answered. "Michael," a weak voice whispered. It was Emily, my heart clenched. "What do you want, Emily?" I asked, my voice cold. I need your help," she said, her voice trembling. "I'm sick, Michael, really sick, and I have no one else to turn to." I hesitated. Part of me wanted to hang up, to slam the door in her face. but another part of me, the part that still remembered the Emily I had loved, couldn't bring myself to do it. "What's wrong?" I asked, my voice softening slightly. "It's cancer, Michael," she sobbed. "Stage 4, they say I don't have much time left." I was stunned. "Cancer, Emily, it didn't seem possible." I don't know what to say," I stammered. "Please, Michael," she begged. Just come see me, please." I thought about it for a long time, weighing my options. Could I forgive her? Could I put aside my anger and resentment and be there for her in her final days? In the end, I decided to go. I booked a flight to the small town in Oregon where she was living and checked into a hotel near the hospital. The next day I went to see her. She was lying in bed, pale and frail, her once vibrant eyes now dull and lifeless. She looked like a ghost of her former self. "Michael," she whispered, a faint smile gracing her lips. "You came." I sat down beside her bed, taking her hand in mine. Her skin was cold and clammy. "How are you feeling?" I asked, my voice choked with emotion. "Not good," she said, her voice barely audible. But I'm glad you're here." We talked for hours, reminiscing about the good times, the happy memories. We laughed, we cried, we forgave. It was like the past had never happened, like we were the same two people who had fallen in love all those years ago. "I'm so sorry, Michael," she said, her eyes filled with tears. "I was so stupid, so selfish. I ruined everything." "It's okay, Emily," I said, squeezing her hand. "It's all in the past. Let's just focus on the present." I stayed with her for the next few days, reading to her, holding her hand, just being there for her. And then one morning she was gone. She died peacefully in her sleep with me by her side. I organized her funeral, paid for her burial, and said my final goodbye. It was a bittersweet moment, filled with both sadness and relief. I was sad that she was gone, but I was also relieved that she was finally at peace. And I was grateful that I had been able to forgive her, to let go of my anger and resentment, and to be there for her in her final moments. As I stood by her graveside, the sun shining down on my face, I realized that revenge wasn't the answer. It didn't bring me happiness. It didn't bring me peace. It only brought me more pain. Forgiveness was the only way to truly heal, to move on, and to find happiness again. It's been a year since Emily died. I'm still single, still cautious, but I'm also hopeful. I've learned a lot about myself, about love, and about forgiveness. And I know that one day I'll find someone who will love me for who I am, someone who will never betray my trust. But until then, I'm content with my life. I have my work, my friends, and my memories. And I know that Emily is watching over me, smiling down from above. 5 years have passed since Emily's death. I remarried to a wonderful woman named Olivia, age 44, who understands my past and doesn't judge me for it. We have a beautiful daughter, Lily, and I finally feel like I have the family I always dreamed of. I often think about Emily, not with anger or resentment, but with a sense of peace and understanding. Her betrayal was a painful chapter in my life, but it also taught me valuable lessons about love, forgiveness, and the importance of cherishing every moment. I've learned that life is too short to hold on to grudges, and that true happiness comes from letting go of the past and embracing the future. And that's exactly what I'm doing. One day, Olivia and I were cleaning out the attic when we stumbled upon a box of Emily's old belongings. Inside, we found a photo album filled with pictures of our life together. As I flipped through the pages, I was struck by how happy we looked, how in love we seemed. It was a reminder of the good times, the beautiful moments that we had shared. Olivia put her arm around me, sensing my sadness. "It's okay to remember her, Michael," she said softly. "She was a part of your life, and those memories are still a part of you." I smiled at her, grateful for her understanding and compassion. "You're right," I said. "She was a part of my life, and I'll always cherish those memories." We continued to flip through the album, sharing stories and laughing at the silly pictures. It was a cathartic experience, a way to honor Emily's memory and to celebrate the life that we had shared. And as I looked at Olivia and Lily, I knew that I had finally found true happiness. I had learned to forgive, to let go, and to embrace the future with an open heart. And that was the greatest revenge of all. Another 5 years drifted by, marked by the comforting rhythm of family life. Lily grew into a bright and inquisitive young girl, filling our home with laughter and boundless energy. Olivia continued to be my rock, a constant source of support and understanding. We built a life filled with love, joy, and shared dreams. One afternoon, while volunteering at Lily's school, I met a young teacher named Jessica, age 28, who reminded me a lot of Emily. She had the same enthusiasm, the same passion for her students. We struck up a conversation, and I found myself drawn to her warmth and sincerity. As we talked, I couldn't help but wonder what Emily's life would have been like if she had chosen a different path. Later that evening, I shared my thoughts with Olivia. "It's strange," I said. "Meeting Jessica today made me realize how much Emily missed out on. She had so much potential, so much to offer the world." Olivia nodded, her eyes filled with compassion. "Sometimes people make mistakes, Michael," she said, "but that doesn't mean they can't be forgiven, and it doesn't mean they can't find peace." Words resonated with me. I realized that holding onto anger and resentment was only hurting myself. It was time to let go completely, to forgive Emily not just for my sake, but for hers as well. I decided to visit her graveside, to say a final goodbye, and to release any remaining pain. The cemetery was quiet and peaceful, the sun casting long shadows across the tombstones. I stood before Emily's grave, a sense of calm washing over me. "Emily," I said softly, I forgive you for everything. I hope you found peace, and I hope you're watching over us." I turned to leave. I felt a weight lift from my shoulders. It was as if a burden had been removed, allowing me to breathe freely for the first time in years. I walked back to the car, a sense of gratitude filling my heart. I was grateful for Olivia, for Lily, and for the life that I had built. And I was grateful for Emily, for the lessons she had taught me, and for the journey that had led me to where I am today. Back home, Lily ran to greet me, her arms outstretched. I scooped her up in a hug, burying my face in her hair. "I love you, Daddy," she said, her voice filled with innocence. "I love you too, sweetheart," I replied, my heart overflowing with love. In that moment, I knew that I had finally found true happiness. I had learned to forgive, to let go, and to embrace the future with an open heart. And that was the greatest gift of all.